Hello, welcome to Mystery in Middle Grade. Today I'm going to veer a little bit away from my normal content because my niece is having a baby shower and I went a little overboard with the gifts because I love my niece and babies and books. And so I'm going to share with you the pile of books that I got for her and baby. So let's turn the page and get started. Before I go into the board books, I have a couple of things that weren't board books to share with you. This is a kind of a baby curriculum, if there could be such a thing. It's called Slow and Steady, Get Me Ready for Kindergarten. So it sounds like baby's not going to be ready for it yet, except it starts at week 1. And for every week of the child's life between newborn and kindergarten, there is an activity. So the very early ones have like little movement activities, and then as you go on there are crafts and book discussions and other fun things like that. So I love this book, and I know that my niece is really going to appreciate these activities she can do with baby. She also, on her baby registry, had a couple of Richard Scarry books, The Best Word Book Ever, and Cars and Trucks and Things That Go. And I just love Richard Scarry. They're so fun to look at the pictures and find all the little things happening, and you really can't go wrong with these. So they were on her list, so I went ahead and got those for her. But I also got a whole bunch of things that are not on her list. The first one, which I give to all my baby things, is a Good Mother Goose compendium. Now this is illustrated by Rosemary Wells and chosen by Iona Opie. And there is a second one of this one as well in this volume, but I love the illustrations in here, and you just can't go wrong with Mother Goose. It is one of the best things for preparing children for speech, language, just for understanding rhyming words, and just for having fun. So you can start this at the very, very earliest ages when you've just brought baby home, and it will continue to be a favorite from there on. Now, I have chosen a little pile of classics that probably don't need much introduction from me, and I just needed to make sure that baby has these in her library. The first one is Pat the Bunny. Many of you will be familiar with Pat the Bunny. I think it may not be quite as popular as it used to be, but on every page of here, there is something to touch or feel as you read the story. And so it's really fun for the baby, for little toddlers, newest babies to touch all of these, and it's got a mirror inside. Mirrors are great for babies. We've got We're Going on a Bear Hunt, and this is by Michael Rosen and Helen Oxenberry, and this is a well-known little chant that we're going on a bear hunt, and this is a delightful little picture book of that. It's really fun to do with the baby. Now, we always read tons of board books to our kids, but we didn't get them from the library because I just felt like books that maybe they were going to touch and put in their mouths and whatever I wanted to own for ourselves. So I wanted to get some things that I knew that they would be happy to read over and over and over again with the baby, because the books that you own are the ones that you read 10 gazillion times. So we want to make sure they're books that both the parents and the baby will enjoy. So this is another classic, The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. I'm sure everybody knows this one. It is real fun for babies to put their fingers in the little holes in this book while turning the pages. And we've got a First Lift the Flat book, Where's Spot? There are so many books featuring Spot. Spot goes to the circus, to the farm, to school, to the doctor, all places, and there's always Lift the Flaps in here. So I wanted to give one of these little Spot books. Now, this probably needs no introduction to y'all. Goodnight Moon. This has been a baby favorite for decades, so I had to include it in this box. Goodnight Moon by Margaret Wise Brown. Corduroy. When I brought this stack of books home, my daughter said, Corduroy, he's the one with the button, right? And so she definitely remembered, and she is 20. She's not even a teenager anymore. So Corduroy had a lasting impact on her. We had the 2 books about Corduroy in our book basket when the kids were young, and so we read about Corduroy quite a bit. Now, there's a couple of Dr. Seuss. You really can't go wrong with Dr. Seuss either because of the rhyming. As I mentioned before, rhyming is a very, very important pre-reading skill, and it helps kids to learn language, how language works. So, Mr. Brown Can Moo Can You has lots of little farm animals in it and sounds. Also, Hand, Hand, Finger, Thumb. Now, this was our oldest daughter's perhaps her very favorite book. So we read through this one enough that the book completely fell apart when my daughter was tiny. And so this one, we never really got tired of reading it, even though we read it that many times. We have Brown Bear, What Do You See? I had to choose because, of course, there's Polar Bear book, Polar Bear, What Do You Hear? And several others in this series. But Brown Bear was the original, and it does emphasize colors and animals. Now, our niece and our little grandniece to come live in a farming community, and so knowing animals is going to be a big part of her babyhood, I'm sure. This now is always been one of my very favorites, Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, also by Bill Martin. Now, this book comes in several different forms. It was originally a picture book, and there is one that's called Chicka Chicka ABC that is actually just the first half of this book. So if you are choosing this, I do recommend getting the book that is the whole text because it is really a fun verse, and you will want to continue all the way to the end and really enjoy it. So this one is just hard to stop saying, A told B and B told C, I'll meet you at the top of the coconut tree. And then it just goes on with this charming, chanting, rollicking rhyme that is fun for baby and fun for adults too. And a nice thing about this book is these alphabet letters are in lowercase. And when you think about learning how to read, the vast majority of letters that you read and write are in lowercase print, but we tend to try to teach the kids uppercase first. So it's nice to have a book that emphasizes these lowercase letters, and it's just plain fun. Now, 2 that are classics that I don't know if people are as familiar with. One is Jamberry by Bruce Jagan. Now, Jamberry was another one of our very, very favorites because we never got tired of reading it, no matter how many times. And let me tell you, we read this one thousands of times. So this is a very favorite one. I try to include it in all of my baskets of books that I give to new parents because it is that fun for me. And I know it'll be that fun for the baby too. Now, Each Peach Pear Plum by Janet and Alan Alberg is an oldie but a goodie. It has a rhyming text, but also it has a little hidden picture on each page for the baby to find, and it references other story tales. So it starts out, Each peach, pear, plum, I spy Tom Thumb. And then you look for Tom Thumb in the picture. And then Tom Thumb in the cupboard, I spy Mother Hubbard. And so it connects to other stories, classic stories. It gives you a chance to make sure and remind you to read those other tales to your kids and really experience this full book together. And then it is really fun to talk about the other characters, storybook characters, as you find them in this book. Now I have another little stack. These are a couple books because baby's dad is a pastor, and so I couldn't resist getting a couple of books that are going to have a religious theme. Now, when I was recently working at the library, one of my jobs was to go through the board books all the time and clean them, make sure that they weren't torn, ripped, chewed on, and so on. And so as I was going through those, I would make my own list of my very favorites. And so some of these are from those lists that I made. This one is called God Made Colors, Oh So Bright, and it's just sweet, very early reader that introduces colors to children. This one is called God Bless You Little One, and it has the most adorable badgers. And then it has them doing everyday things like taking a bath, and also has some other animals in there. So this is just a fun animal book, but it emphasizes how God has created our families and shows those being illustrated through really, really cute drawings. Now the next two are high contrast books. So this one is in a wrapper, so I'm not gonna open it for you, but I'm gonna show you another one. This is called What Does Baby See? And it's gonna have simple shapes in black and white only. When babies first come home from the hospital, their eyes aren't developed to really distinguish color yet. And so these black and white high contrast books are excellent for brand new newborn babies when you're reading to them, because of course we want to start reading to the baby from the very first days. Now this is the second one, and I'll be able to show you the inside of this one. This one's called Hello Baby Animals, and you can see the bright, bold design that baby's eyes can clearly see these things because the pictures are not cluttered and they don't have a lot of extra color on them. So I do really recommend the high contrast baby books for newborns. Now we have a couple of just fun books that are about how much the parents love baby. So this one is I Love You to the Moon and Back. And so it's got cute illustrations. Again, it's animals. It expresses the love that the parent has for the child. And another one is Good Night, My Darling Baby. And this one has adorable farm animals. And again, because they live rurally, this is one that I love to give them. And it does rhyme as well. Rhymes are great for babies, as I've mentioned before. Now this one. This is by Rose Rossner, pictures by Sydney Hansen. And I could not resist this one because, to tell you the truth, as much as I think baby's gonna love farm animals, I love otters. They're my very favorite. And so this is just so adorable and I could not resist it. It does have other animals inside. So the illustrations are just so sweet. And the text, this one says, "You make me very happy." Now this series, this is illustrated by Natalie Marshall, and it is written by Nicola Edwards. There are a lot of these, and they are the cutest. So these books are touch and feel. So this sun has a little touch and feel moment on it. And so does this one, and then you can open the page and it has things. So this is very tactile for a new baby, and then it also has a lovely, lovely verse. You're my little cupcake, you're good enough to eat. So all of these are really fun little phrases that emphasize the parent and the baby having a close connection, which is, of course, what reading together is going to help promote. And then my last one that I am putting in the basket is an ABC book, but this is a See, Touch, Feel. So it's also tactile. And as you can see, like I mentioned before, most alphabet books do have these capital letters, which is fine. I'm not against that by any means, but that lowercase letter is helpful. But these, the apple is very bumpy, and the butterfly is bumpy. So this gives you a chance to go through alphabet letters, talk about what's on the page. You can talk about the colors on the page and the texture. And just remember, for people who may be reading to baby, that you don't have to just stick with what's on the page, the words are on the page. You can talk about the pictures, talk about what you see, talk about the colors, talk about what you touch, and talk about how much you love baby as you're reading to them. So this is gonna be all put in my basket, and as I said, I did go overboard and I couldn't resist buying these favorites for my new grandniece, and I just hope that there's some of these that you might also find useful if you're building your own home library for baby, or if you're looking for a baby gift for a shower, or for a newborn, or even for a 1-year-old, because these books will be read and used for years in the family's home. So that's all I have for today, and I really appreciate you stopping in to Mystery in Middle Grade, and I hope that you have found some fun things to share with your little ones.